We have a very special show tonight. It's called, the segment is called One Step Ahead, where we talk about being prepared. Okay, so September is Emergency Preparedness Month. So what does that mean? What does it mean to be prepared? Do you think the average person is prepared?
No.
Okay. I have a good friend of mine right now. Jim is in the studio. And Jim, welcome to the studio. Welcome to my show, Good Times, Bad Times. I think, it's great that people like yourself are bringing awareness to this important subject. Tonight, we're lucky enough, we're going to have Trent join us in a few minutes.
I'm very excited about him. He knows a lot of stuff.
It's Emergency Preparedness Month, and you're talking about all types of emergencies. You're talking about hurricanes, earthquakes. Here on Long Island, we could have hurricanes.
Power outages, floods, Sandy.
Power outages?
Power outages, flood, Sandy.
Hurricane
9/11,
yeah.
All that stuff. It could all happen. It has happened.
And now there's a lot of talk about possible food shortages.
Correct.
Right? And inflation, stuff like that's affecting everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Gas shortages. So being prepared. September is Preparedness this month, and we are very lucky tonight to have a very knowledgeable guest joining us who has a weekly show talking about everything preparedness. Trevor, is Trent ready? He's ready? Okay, joining us right now is Trent from Vision Preparedness. Hello, Trent. How are you?
Doing well. How are you doing this evening, Joey?
We're doing good over here, and we're very excited to have you on as a guest. We have a lot of questions to ask. First of all, tell us a little bit about yourself and the show that you do.
Well, my name is Trent McMurray. I'm the CEO and founder of Vision Preparedness, LLC, which is a emergency preparedness and planning company. And we have a YouTube channel that we have live streams on, including this one, 3 times a week.
Oh, wow.
Tuesday evenings, Thursday evenings, and Saturday mornings. And we have a great group of people that follow us on YouTube, and we talk everything preparedness and planning, which is the whole gambit.
Right. So up until, the things that I would think about being prepared for a hurricane is batteries, candles, things when the power goes out. But there's a lot more to it than that. First of all, I'd love to know what got you started in all this. Did you have some kind of tragedy, some kind of weather problem up by where you are?
Well, being in Ohio, this is tornado country.
Okay.
Basically, I started becoming a prepper right after Hurricane Katrina. And what I saw that our illustrious government did not do for those people down there, I just made it a decision that I will never depend on them to do anything for me in any type of natural disaster. And I started prepping and planning from that day on. And right before Charlie 19 hit a couple years ago, I kicked it into high gear. I've had a lot of good friends here locally that helped me. I have made a ton of friends on YouTube, and from there it's just growing.
Wow, that's really awesome. It's you think about it, like I tell my friends and stuff like that, and a lot of people, they kind of, is preparedness something that everybody should be worried about? Is it a big concern for everybody?
Absolutely. I mean, everybody needs to take care of themselves and their family without relying on outside entities to come and save them. Like we always say in the preparedness community, you are your own first responder.
I agree with that 100%. A lot of people sit back and wait, and look what just happened in Maui, right? You sit back and wait.
Yes.
God bless everybody in Maui, but you gotta take care of yourself and take charge right from the get-go.
Yes, you do. Very much so. Nobody's going to save you. You have to look out for yourself and your family because you are that person, or your family needs to learn to take care of themselves no matter what. So it's a matter of planning. We always talk about food, water, shelter, and security. Those are the top 4 things that everybody needs to prep and plan for.
Right. So I was speaking with Jim earlier, and he was talking about having a bag, have a bag ready to go, a ready-to-go bag. What's the name? I forget. What's the name of that bag? There's a name for it.
There's several. Bug out bag, ready bag, a get home bag that stays in your vehicle in case something happens and you're away from the home. That will sustain you from 24 hours to 72 hours to get you home. Bug out bag is if you have to leave your home or apartment due to whatever natural disaster, man-made caused disaster, or the zombie apocalypse.
Right.
Have items ready to go that you can grab, throw in your vehicle, and get out of harm's way.
What do you think would be one of the most important things in that bug out bag? If you had to pick one item, what would be the most important thing? That's probably a tough one, right?
That is a tough question, but my answer would be security.
Okay.
Everything else I can acquire because of the plans that I have in place. As long as I have security that I can protect myself and my family while we're getting to point A or point B,
right.
That's the biggest thing for me.
So bug out bag, that's the name I was thinking of. So everyone needs to know what a bug out bag is. And what's
a bug out bag, yes.
Go ahead.
A bug out bag is a bag that you have that should have at least some form of food, water, and shelter,
right?
Along with a plethora of other things that any person may need. All types of official documents that will, say this is my house, this is my property, these are my family members, these are my pets. Also, if for those on prescription medication, take extra medication with you because the pharmacy may not be open. I always tell people if you can get your prescription medications, get them in 180-day prescriptions if possible.
Right. That makes total sense. Now, you pack your bug out bag and something's going down. Like a hurricane, you get a week's warning, but sometimes you don't get that luxury of having a week's warning. In an immediate emergency, when you're leaving, I'm just thinking for myself on Long Island. Something's going on. Like, where's the first place I'm going to? I'm getting in my car with my bug out bag. I guess you have to have a location. A meeting.
Yes. You should have a plan. That should be part of your emergency evacuation plan. Plan A, B, and C. Because we all know that the major highways are going to be traffic jams. Mm-hmm. Have alternative routes to get to your locations, drive them, practice it. See how long it takes you to get there, normal traffic, different routes to different locations, multiple routes to the same location.
Wow. This whole thing sounds like it could be very costly. I'm just thinking of myself now, putting everything else aside. Something like this, for me to get started, it's going to start cutting into my beer money.
Well, since you said that, Joey, what's more important, your beer or your life?
I know, priorities, right? I'm always thinking ahead. I'm always thinking. I love this. I love this. I love the whole concept. Yeah. It's great. It gives you security. It's nice to know you have security. But a bug out bag is something I do not have. I do not have.
That's easy. You can get a bug out bag. Could be any type of backpack. It doesn't have to be expensive. It just needs to be able to hold the gear that you need to put in it. If you have a pickup truck, you could put stuff in plastic totes and put the tote in the truck or have it staged in the garage so that when it's time to go, you pick up the tote, you throw it in there. But you can get a backpack from Wally World.
Right.
You can get inexpensive.
Right.
Or you can get expensive. Right. Depends on, the need and your budget. We always talk about stay within your budget. You don't have to, run up the credit cards to start buying stuff.
Right. It's funny because I talked to Jimmy a couple of days now about being prepared, and there's a lot of things I didn't know about. Like even when you get to your location, setting up a tarp and being able to have all that, everything you need to set up shelter. for a couple of days.
Exactly. Yeah. Whether you use a tarp to make shelter out of, that's perfectly fine. And Jim is one of my guys. He does amazing shelters with tarps. That's the inexpensive way to go.
Right.
You can buy a 2-man, 3-man tent, depending on how many people are in your family. There's all types of configurations you can use if you have to have some form of shelter.
So you have a YouTube channel, Vision Preparedness.
Yes.
So on this channel, you have a lot of information.
We do.
And do you do step-by-step? I haven't gone through all your videos, but the ones I've seen are awesome. I think you're great. Obviously, you're very, very, very good at what you do. You opened up my eyes to this, and I am going to get serious with this stuff because, you put on the news and that's all you're hearing is, one day, you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Exactly.
Everybody has smoke alarms in their house. What happens when your house is on fire, right?
Right.
You got a place to go.
Yeah, the alarms are going off. What do you do now?
Exactly.
Do you try to put the fire out, or do you gather your stuff and get out?
Right. Oh, man. So what would you personally consider to be one of your best skills?
Oh, Lord. One of my best skills is my flexibility. I can adapt to any situation, whether I'm prepared or not. As we all know, during an emergency, emotions get heightened. And what I have learned is when I'm trying to solve something, I have to take my emotions out of it so I can solve it logically so that, I don't put myself or my family in harm's way.
Right. So you have to take your emotions out and just act without getting wrapped up in the situation. Which is tough for most people. If you're able to do that, separate yourself from it, obviously you'll do a much better job and do it the right way, the correct way. A lot of people get all wrapped up in panicking and they, because they're panicking, they're not doing the right thing.
Correct.
In a situation like Maui, how would you handle a situation like Maui?
Well, first and foremost, things that I can't control, I don't worry about. So if that was my house in Maui and it was on fire and I couldn't put it out, I'm evacuating my family, regardless if the road is closed or not by the police, which it was.
Right.
We're getting out of harm's way.
Mm-hmm.
The houses can be rebuilt. Stuff can be regained. That's why we all have insurance. But my family's life and my life is most important, and I'm going to get them out of the way.
So that makes total sense. You can replace the house, you can replace all your belongings, you can replace your car and all your material stuff, but you can't replace people like your loved ones.
Correct. Absolutely.
In a situation like that, like in certain situations, you think it's going to be one way, and then all of a sudden it turns into a disaster. So you always have to be ready for the worst.
Correct.
Right.
And in that instance, I would have tossed in our bug-out bags and all of our other supplies that we have ready and prepped and got out the way. I would have left. And if they would have closed the road, I would have opened the road. Trust me.
Hey, yeah, and know what we know now. A lot of people will be very skeptical next time anything like that happens.
Absolutely.
So, it's when you're in the wild. My biggest fears in the wild would be something like snakes, bears, mountain lions. If I had to spend days in the wild, elephants. What would be your biggest fear being in the wild? If you had a fear, what would be your fear?
My biggest fear would be running out of water.
Okay.
Because, food, water, shelter, we all know we can go 3 days without water before the body starts breaking down and literally preserving itself to stay alive. So for me, my biggest fear would be running out of water.
Now,
food I can find.
Food you can find, but water is the most important thing that you need when you're out in the wild.
Yes.
So my question was, now water's the most important, and I've seen all these commercials on TV about water filters. There's a Berkey water filter. There's all these different water filters where you can actually filter stream water or pond water or dirty water,
right.
And it makes it pure water. Is that something that's in your bug out bag?
Absolutely. I have a Grail water purification system. I've got life straws, and worst case scenario, you know, you can always take a bag and put sand and rocks, sand and gravel, and charcoal in it, and filter drip the water to purify it. Or you can boil it. You can make a fire and boil it.
Right.
But boiling it is not going to get rid of everything. Once it's boiled and it's cooled, I'm going to run it through either my Grail or a life straw or something like that before we drink it.
Right. So, talking with Jim the last week or so, getting ready for the show tonight, talking with my wife at home, explaining to her that, going out with Jim and looking for places to meet and the point that you go to in an emergency. She's thinking it's a way for all of us to get away from our old ladies.
Well, hey, I don't get in grown folks' business, but, explain to her. This is what we've come up with. Here's the plan. Right. Share it with her. Communication is huge. Yeah, well, everybody in the family should know the plan.
I agree 100%, but that's, a lot of people don't take it serious. Like, you guys take it serious because you really know what's going on. You follow the news all the time, right?
Yeah. So I try not to, but I'm aware of what's going on. Yeah, yes.
You have to be aware of what's going on in the outside world when,
Yes.
Not to put my wife down, but she's watching Netflix at night, she's watching, whatever. She's streaming Friends from years ago, whatever she's doing. But this is a very serious, it could be a very serious situation that could pop up at any time. And she was just kind of saying, you and Jim don't play hockey no more, so now this is going to be your thing. You go out and this will be your excuse now to go out and drink some beers.
Right.
So
exactly.
So in the community of being prepared, okay, there's a lot of people on YouTube. There's Jim, my friend Jim, who brought me into this.
Yeah.
Who would you consider to be your Babe Ruth in the community? Who's your guy? Who's your guy?
There's a lot. It depends because like Jim himself is one of my guys when it comes to building tarps and shelters out of minimal gear. He's the guy. When it comes to ham radios, Jim, we have a person in our group, Sister Marie's Kitchen, who just got her ham radio license. You've got the angry prepper who's been prepping for probably the last 20 years. You've got, the roaming prepper, Hudson Valley Prepping and Survival, Mad Shad. There's just a ton of people. Old Mutt is who I call the godfather of prepping, because he's been doing it for probably a decade or more. And then there's a ton of people in the gardening community that grow their own produce, that is a critical piece. Grow your own fruits and vegetables and raise your own livestock if possible. So my Babe Ruth is literally more than one person.
Right. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So you have who's the best at each one of those.
Yes, we have a network of people that we can rely on, even locally as well as nationwide.
Right. So a lot of information that you guys have, if you look it up, it's very hard to find. That's why it's great to go to your channel or to Jim's channel. Mm-hmm. On a random search, you're not going to find half the stuff we're talking about tonight. That's my opinion, because that's why most people don't know about it.
Right, and we have a lot of information, on our website, visionpreparedness.org, as well. And if you do a search on YouTube for bug out bag, you're going to find like thousands of videos.
Okay.
And like I tell people, if you're looking for something like let's take bug out bags.
Right.
You have to build your bag that fits your needs.
Your personal needs.
Yes, your personal needs. Absolutely. And that's okay.
Right.
And we all know that and understand it. Just have a bag.
So every bug out bag's different on your own personal needs, but there's those certain items that everyone has to have.
Correct.
You know,
Correct.
It's funny because when Jim first started talking about this, I went back and started thinking about the TV show Naked and Afraid. Right?
Yeah.
And I always wanted to be on that show. I love TV. I was going to cast for that. But I had two rules if I ever got on that show. The number one rule for me would be that I had to pick the girl.
Right. Right.
And the second rule would be I wouldn't want to do it in cold weather.
Yeah, that would be true.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm with you.
I got an image to keep up.
Exactly, Joe. Exactly.
So if you're hurt when you're doing this, okay, now you're up in the wilderness and you're hurt, and I'm not going to say you're alone, but you're with your wife or your kids or you're with somebody who really doesn't know too much about how to handle first aid.
Right.
How do you go about first aid being in the middle of nowhere?
Well, first of all, we all highly recommend everybody have a personal first aid kit, an IFAC.
What's it called?
And in our case, an IFAC, individual first aid kit.
Okay.
And because we're Vision Preparedness,
Right.
we build custom DFAC kits.
Okay.
That will handle everything from serious gunshot wounds to minor scrapes and bumps. Everybody should have a first aid kit and put it together for your needs. But I highly recommend everybody take at least a CPR course and a Stop the Bleed course.
Like a trauma kit.
And then, yes, have a trauma kit. Yep. And then you can get into wilderness survival and all of that, wilderness first aid and all of that good stuff. But a good IFAC is mandatory for anybody and everybody, period.
That's a must-have in your bug-out bag.
Yes, that is a must-have.
Right.
Absolutely, without a doubt.
So, you know, I just think myself, like, for years before, obviously, houses and everything, people lived in the wild. For how many billions of years before, before you got evolved to where we are today? I think living in the nature is probably, I'm not going to say it's easy, because obviously there's a lot of things that can happen to you.
Yep.
But it's, you could probably do it for how long? How long would you think you could live like that before you had how long of a period of time could your bug out bag and everything before you had to return back to society? Like, before it was safe to go home.
Right, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, my bug out bag itself is going to sustain me for at least 72 hours.
Okay.
But because I have plans in place, I can go to somebody else's house.
Gotcha.
I have multiple locations that I can go to before I'm out on my own in the middle of nowhere. And then when that happens, I'm going to go pick up my caches that I have stashed of supplies in multiple locations to sustain us longer.
Right.
Hello?
We got someone? All right, so we do have a phone call. Okay, Trent? So I'm going to probably need your help. Okay, you're on 1240 AM WGBB. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
Hi. You're on the air.
Hey, how's it going, Mr. Vision Preparedness? I've been checking out your show for a while. My question to you is, I'm a prepper also, do you recommend that preppers should be prepared to sustain themselves for up to 12 months, if possible?
Trent, that's your call.
Yeah, that's me calling back in.
Oh, the question, I don't know if you heard the question, but the question is...
I did not.
Oh, okay. The question to you is, do you think that you should be prepared for up to 12 months?
Absolutely. 12 months is the minimum. And then once you reach that pinnacle milestone, do it again. Now you actually have a system and plan in place where you can prep food, water, shelter for 12 months. Do it again.
Right.
And repeat it. Absolutely.
One more you have? We just... All right, yeah. Trent, unfortunately, this was such a great show. We were only here in a half hour, and thank you so much for coming on. I really, really appreciate it, but we do have to run.
Thank you for having me, Joey.
Thank you. Once again, your information. Just give it out quick.
That's visionpreparedness@gmail.com. You can email me. You can find us on YouTube. Our company website is visionpreparedness.org. And thank you for having me on, Joey. I truly appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us on Good Times, Bad Times. We'll see you next week, guys. Take care. Have a good week.